Okay, so I was gonna do it in the same video, but I was like, it's a separate matter. But at the same, but so I was like, but it sort of stemmed off Stephen A. LeBron thing. But I was like, basically, it's still talking about this whole NBA media discussion, and also, how it's basically talked about, where it's like Stephen A. says he controlled all this type of stuff. Look, I was like, first of all, I think that people who talking about the NBA, I was like, as far as like the circulation around all this stuff, I was like, you're getting attacked, and it just doesn't feel good. I was like, when anything of yours that you really like or love gets attacked, guess what? You got to get on the defensive, and you don't care what reasons people got. You don't care what may have been going on in the past or nothing like that. That, hey, I was like, you just over here got to get on the fence. This goes from the fact of like LeBron talking about who wants to be the face of the league and being talked about so negative, and I was like, I think that was also talked about on Guild Arena. I was like basically talking about first take. I was like stuff. I was like Barley talked about how they only talk about the Lakers and Warriors all the time. And I was like, this is the wrong season to probably do it just because the Lakers and the Warriors were hot for. I was like, the Warriors have been hot, and I was like, the Lakers stumbled a bit of here too. I was like, LeBron's out, but I was like, at the same time, they after the trade, they basically been on a run. So I was like that. I was like, so that's kind of hard. But I was like, guess what? He not. I was like, is he wrong? No. But as far as him being talked about any more negative than like people in the past and stuff like that, I was like, to me, that's revisionist history. Because I'm just like, I was like, first of all, LeBron have been dealing with this all his years or whatever. That's been a thing. Even if he went to the Miami Heat, and I was like in that whole thing. I was like Carmelo Anthony used to get it a lot. Allen Iverson will get that as well. I was like Jordan had it before he started winning and all this other stuff. Like you go back, like if I could go back and read articles, what do you think it was then? When the only thing was like now, see, this is why I don't think the media thing has a discussion, really, to be honest. Because who is it really like the media of like ESPN that everybody wants to attack, First Take, and stuff like that? I was like, I watch Get Up and they don't really do much basketball there, and all these other places. This is really for people who are just checking in. These are just for casual people. So why I was like, why is everybody mad? Because everybody's already mad that it's just like, oh, these people are just casuals who just come in and watch the basketball game. We're not talking about the casual. We're not talking about. Then it's like, what are y'all mad at? Because people who really want to watch basketball, people who are really into basketball, aren't watching really those like the ESPNs or the NBA Today and stuff like that. That's like an hour of TV. That's like I was like that's about like 15, 20 minutes on the topic on First Take. NBA TV is like an hour or whatever. What are y'all talking about? More people are coming on going on like YouTube and all these other places and watching people who are they like how like the old man in the three, Gil's Arena. I was like tease. I was like the club 520. I was like Podcast P. I was like people are going to those places to really kind of like do basketball. I was like the only like the few people that you could think of. I was like you could talk about Bill Simmons, even though people sometimes feel away about him. Ron Barcelo, same way. I was like the mismatch. I was like when JJ Redick and LeBron did their little podcast. I was like there's so many places that people go to. Zach Lowe when he had his thing. So many people would go to all these other places that you talking about the media is over here, being negative and all this other stuff. And it's like, you want to talk about social media and the whole thing? Sure. I was like, I'll give you some of that or whatever. Because I was like, hey, you're right, baby. I was like, Jordan at home, he ain't had the internet to be scrolling on it. I was like, but if he watched TV, he was going to see it. I was like, he gets the paper, he going to see it. And guess what? Back then, everybody, you could say, oh, just the paper, just ignore the paper. Why don't you ignore your phone? You can't, can you? Exactly. Because back then, people were reading the paper. People were looking for like what they do. Just like now, how people are like, let me go on Twitter and see my name and all this other stuff. And guess what you're going to see? A whole bunch of negative. So some of y'all just searching it out on top of that. But the media is not, I was like, the media ain't what the media used to be I don't think you complain about the media. The media is for like that person who's just like, I haven't seen no basketball games in a minute. Let me go ahead and scroll in what happened last night. Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and see what's been going on. Oh man, the Cavs got a good record. I was like, those people are the people that y'all also don't really care about watching these games because you're just like, oh, they're the casual. That's not. I was like, they're not the ones that really talking about basketball. Then why are you worried about this media that's only talking to the casual people? That's the reason why they keep talking about the Lakers and Warriors all the time. They got a big enough fan base that you can always gravitate to them. Whether you hate them or whether you like them, they're the ones being talked about. People are like, oh, or whatever. I was like the NFL, and it's like the NFL talk about the Cowboys all the time, no matter how dog shit they is. I was like, they talk about the Jets because of Aaron Rodgers. It's like how, guess what? We talking about LeBron because he's on the damn Lakers. And I was like, that's a double whammy compared to Aaron Rodgers. But I was like, NFL does it too. I was like, now did the NFL do a better job of talking about some of the other teams? Yeah, and I was like, yeah, now that's also because of their star player. I wonder what that's like. Like Kevin Durant on the Suns. The Suns ain't that good, but guess what? Who we talking about? Kevin Durant. I was like, let's see. I was like, Joel Embiid. I was like, that team star, bro. Guess what we gonna talk about? Joel Embiid or whatever. I was like, the quarterbacks is like the same thing, where it's just kind of like, oh. I was like, okay, who we gonna talk about? Oh, like Jalen Hurts. I was like, we're gonna talk about him. I was like, we're gonna talk about Lamar Jackson. Oh man, that's almost like the star players in the NBA. Oh, who we gonna talk about with their team? So it's like they talk about the same several teams over and over and over. They ain't talking about the damn Titans. You think they talking about the Titans? I was like, they talk about the Jaguars either. The Jaguars would have to win 11 games in a row for somebody to really talk about them. And I was like, and guess what? They do got Trevor Lawrence enough to where it's like, there is somebody there that you can kind of market. But I was like, some of these teams, I was like the Houston Texans are really good. We don't talk about them. They don't really talk about them like that. So it's like, and some of this also, because y'all just trying to, it's like, I really think that a lot of the NBA is hurt that the NFL can rise and soar to this. I was like, have a height of popularity, and none of them really get any criticism and stuff like that. And I'm just like, where was y'all 3-4 years ago, 5 years ago? Like, what you mean? The NFL was getting a lot of hate from Cap, from the whole in the race thing, all that stuff. So like they was getting their hate as well. I didn't even got to go to the point where it was like, man, we're scoring so many points and the offense going crazy, and it's like everybody's a 5,000-yard passer now. I was like, sound like what? The 3-point line and all this other stuff with the NBA. I was like, I've already done sort of like the simulators in that situation. But I was like, I just think that some of this is just overblown because a lot of y'all just in y'all feelings of getting hurt. And I'm talking about like the players, really, to be honest. And I was like, and even some people that cover the NBA. I'm like, if you like the NBA, just talk about the NBA. Guess what? It'll all work out. But guess what? You can't also lie that I was like, guess what? We could talk about the OKC Thunder all the time. I was like, and guess what? And then y'all will sort of still be mad because I was like, somebody's team is going to be left off. You're right. The Cavs are having a hell of a year. So OKC, I was like, Denver was able to turn around when everybody thought that it was down in the dumps with the whole Westbrook thing as well. I was like, so I was like, the thing is like, guess what? But also none of them people are really compelling in the same way that Luka was. Like Luka is somebody that's like, could get that people talk about Dallas in a way that I don't know if Shea and all them can get somebody talking about OKC that way or whatever. Now I was like, but he don't have the personality like that. But now someone like Chet becomes a big baller. That's a little different because I was like, we was all in on the Victor thing until he sort of got hurt. Like if Victor would have stayed around, guess what? They would have been talking about Victor. I was like the Timberwolves as a little bit more down in the dumps this year. Guess what? We're not talking about Anthony Edwards in that same way, even though he's a player that you can put at that top spot. Also the NBA got so many games that I think that's sometimes why is sort of the way that it sort of gets pushed. Is that it's like after a while, it's like, how much can you really talk about the Cavs after? I was like, they was talking about that. They're like, oh, is this a fluke? Is they winning over this? What's the whole change and everything? And then after a while, guess what? They go on some couple runs. Everybody done with it. But even the Warriors, I was like, that stuff was like, it was really cool, whatever. But guess what? I was like, as they build, they got talked about. But they also had Stephen Curry, who also we knew from Davidson that we sort of talked about the same way. I was like, whereas like we know Donovan Mitchell. And the rest of the team, everybody just kind of like, they don't know. I was like, Draymond became a big personality over here on the Warriors as well. And I was like, to where it's like, okay, there's some people to sort of talk about here. And look, LeBron ain't go to the Lakers for no damn reason. They talking about the Lakers all the damn time. And it's like, they didn't talk about the Lakers at all when they were sorry. Before LeBron got there, they wasn't talking about the Lakers. Why you think they talking about the Lakers now? I was like, they either been good or relative in the space that they was, or LeBron. That's why. And guess what? All of them must always meet in the head at some point. That's why they get talked about. And the Warriors, sort of the same way. It's like, guess what? They have been good for so long, then they had some down year, then they sort of came back up, back down, whatever. But they always had Curry at the end of the day. They were still going to stay. That's sort of, I was like, that's built our reputation. Guess what? Somebody else is going to have to build that. I was like, guess what? Just like how the Warriors did, if OKC can go and win this year, and then they come back next year, and then the third year, something like that. Even if they lose, but if they're in the final prominent spot for a long time, guess what? They will be the new Warriors. That is how it works. Well, I will tell you that what I think sort of hurt all this. I think the parity thing that they wanted the NBA, where everybody got a shot to win the championship, has really sort of hurt the league. Because now there's nobody that I was like, you think the Warriors got built that on parity? No, they didn't. They got built over there being dominant and beating everybody's ass. LeBron is a star amongst himself as well. But I was like, everybody sort of got tired of that. After a while, we need to shake this up a bit. And guess what? Now I was like, Giannis, first championship, I was like, then guess what? They got sick of him and they went to Jokic. And then after a while, I was like, Jokic, they didn't have, I was like, after the championship, it was kind of like, down. They're sort of okay this year. I mean, I was like, I know they top 4 in the West. But I was like, you get what I'm saying about, like, it's not where they should be after how they felt with their championship or whatever. And also, when Jokic was winning them MVPs, they weren't really good. They had injuries, yes, sure, but still. That I was like, there hasn't been anything to keep on. Cause guess what? Now I was like, now all these people that you just like your team instead of like Warriors and yes, Lakers, they always been the big brand, but Warriors be able to build that brand where they got fans everywhere. There hasn't been anybody else to do that. I think they gave you the blueprint, but the blueprint is by winning all the time. So we got to do the thing by stars, and guess what? There's some star like guess what? Jimmy Butler was able to become a star being in Miami and taking them to 2 final trips. Whereas before then, oh, it was just Jimmy Butler. He cool. I was like, yeah, he got a personality, but I was like, but now he done been made into a somebody where he's in commercials and things like that. I was like, these other ones, I was like, Anthony's getting, I was like, he will get there as far as like the star, the face of the league, because that's what I'm about. That's what I'm on now. As far as the team thing and stuff like that, look, those numbers come in for a reason. I was like, you're right. I was like, but hey, you can't praise the analytics for telling y'all that 3 is more than 2 and only shooting 3s and making layups, and then hate the analytics when it comes back on this media stuff, being like, everybody all like the Cowboys and the Lakers. What should we talk about? Maybe the Cowboys and Lakers. You know what? That's not a bad idea, Jeff. Promote it. Like, come on. I was like, if it wasn't for that, guess what? We might have talked about a little bit more and stuff like that. They kind of did used to back in the day when it was like, oh, a little bit more diverse in amongst the covers and talking and stuff like that. It kind of was. I was like, it kind of was a thing. And guess what? You still need stars at the end of the day. The NBA has to have stars that they can say like, I want to go see them. I was like, I don't think that's necessarily the same way. Because guess what? Y'all need the casual people, not the NBA hardcores. That's always going to be there. Those people always appreciate Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's game. Alexander. I was like, Shai Gillis. I'm calling Shai because I was like, that tongue ties me all the time. Jalen Brunson's game. I was like, Paolo Banchero's game. I was like, they're always going to like it. The casuals, who are you? Oh, okay. I was like, and especially now, kind of everybody got the same, pretty much, like, all got a similar game. I shouldn't say the same game. Because I do think the star players all sort of have a different game. But the problem is when you got casual people who are just chiming in, it's like, oh, they all could dunk. They all shoot 3s. When you're a guy, when you're just checking in on the game, there's really, I was like, you're not going to really see that. Like, oh, that person's different, that person's different, that person's different. You're going to say, oh, it's all sort of like, okay, cool. Anyway. Enough of me ranting out here. Anyway, that's enough of my 2% here in this campaign. Till then, peace. I'm out.